The guy was praying for me and he said that the Lord is showing me that there is cobwebs on you. Okay. So he said in the spirit realm, there is cobwebs on you. Okay. And he said that the enemy was cobwebbing my journey, like he was cobwebbing my path. And he was literally praying off cobwebs. Hello, you guys. Welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you're returning, welcome. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back. All right. So today we're going to discuss what is a spiritual spouse. For myself, I had no idea spiritual spouses existed. I heard of incubus, I heard of succubus, but I had no idea what a spiritual spouse was. I couldn't even pinpoint evidence of a spiritual spouse. So when it comes to, pinpointing what a spiritual spouse is, how they deal with their victims, how you get them, I had no clue. However, as time progressed and I learned a lot more, and thankfully for other people sharing their story, I was able to identify spiritual spouses, and we're going to talk about it today. All right, so before I talk about spiritual spouses, I want to discuss healing spiritual health. A lot of people are afraid of the spiritual realm because, they just don't believe it exists. And the spiritual realm is just as real as this laptop, as this video is streaming. Okay. And I think it's so important that people learn about spiritual matters. And I'm not talking about, the forbidden information of spiritual matters, but I'm talking about the spiritual matters of our own life. Everything we experience, okay, the good and the bad, is all correlated to our spiritual health. Even when it comes down to sickness, there is something spiritual going on. It's so important that people understand that. And I think spiritual health and spiritual matters are, not really paid attention to because, we are not taught spiritual things. It's not about performance. It's not about acting. It's not about checklisting, your faith and all that. God really wants to partner with us concerning setting the captives free. And setting the captives free is not a physical bondage, but a spiritual bondage, okay? He wants us to partner with him to first deal with our own spiritual health and bring others out, okay? And the more you learn about spiritual matters and the more you take inventory of, the spiritual condition of your own life, the stronger and the more bolder you'll get. And a lot of times we get comfortable with the condition of our life, all right? And we think, okay, this is just life because we've always seen it that way. And that's not the case, all right? It's definitely not the case. God is in control, but he is not controlling, okay? When God gives you revelation of something, it is up to you to act on it, all right? If you don't do anything, he's not going to force you. So you have to really get fed up in the spiritual realm concerning the condition of your life. I'm telling you, it is so important. You want to really build up your spirit man. Your spirit man, that's your life, okay? And how your spirit man life is and how much you feed it, how much you build it up, how, strong you make it will determine how your life blossom. All right, so I'm going to share a testimony, a short testimony. It's not as mind-boggling as it was when this happened, but it definitely made a difference after this happened to me. I was having some dreams and I didn't understand what they meant. So I went to church and a guy prayed for me. I can tell that he was either a part of a healing or deliverance ministry, but I knew that, it was a divine appointment. So the guy was praying for me and he said that the Lord is showing me that there is cobwebs on you. Okay. So he said in the spirit realm, there is cobwebs on you. Okay. And he said that the enemy was cobwebbing my journey, like he was cobwebbing my path. And he was literally praying off cobwebs. Okay. I seen a shift in my faith after that. And it didn't, I began to look at things a little different. You know, I began to be like, you know what? The resistance, I'm thinking, hey, look, this is just a part of the process. However, no, it is not. You do not have to come in agreement with resistance, okay? And I didn't understand the dreams that I was having, so I wasn't acting on them. I was just like, man, what is this about? And they kept happening. But anyways, long story short, that's why spirit health is so important. There was resistance in my path due to the condition of my spiritual health, because it lets me know, hey, look, I'm on the right path, because the enemy is not going to attack, someone or something that's not a threat or that's not, doing the work of God. My faith kind of changed after that a little bit. I kind of just, got back to the basics when it came to my faith and what God gave to me. And God is a marvelous God, because the time that I'm showing this, the time that this video is, being recorded, I can see the progression and I can see the change in just my faith. So I say all that to say, God is good, and we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about spiritual spouses. So what is a spiritual spouse? A spiritual spouse is a demonic spirit married to you in the spirit realm. Simple. Spiritual spouses want to block and rob you of healthy love, good health, children, finances, progress, etc., etc. John 10:10 lets us know that the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have life more abundantly. Okay. I added in life right there because it just seemed like it went. So when it comes to a spiritual spouse, when you are married to a spiritual spouse in the spirit realm, knowingly or unknowingly, their main goal is to kill, steal, and destroy. Kill your destiny, steal your glory, destroy your progress. Okay. Simple. A very subtle and cunning way the devil kills, steals, and destroys people is with a spiritual spouse. Because a marriage, even though you're not married, and people need to understand, when you're not married physically, but when you lay down and become one with someone, you are married spiritually. Okay, let's not talk about the woman at the well. God said you have 5 husbands. He wasn't talking about her being married to them in the physical, okay, in the natural. He was talking about her being married to them in the spiritual. These spirits were still a part of her, and he was able to see that. So I hope that gives you a better understanding how powerful a spiritual spouse demonic covenant is. All right, so I'm going to discuss the history of spiritual spouses. Everything we deal with is spiritual. Everything in the Bible is symbolic. If you read Genesis 6:2, chapter 6, verse 2, it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, they were beautiful, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So took means rape. Okay. And with research, you'll learn that the sons of God are fallen angels. These are demons. These are spirits. Okay. The Bible indicates that in the beginning of time, demons, fallen angels, raped God's daughters in the earthly realm. The Bible is telling you that these demons took on, they fell from heaven, okay, were in bodies, and they raped, okay, God's daughters. Genesis 6:4 says, I'm not going to read the whole scripture, but it says, basically Genesis 6:4 is saying that when the spirits, sons of men, came into God's daughters, they produced giants. These women gave birth, these, babies became giants. Can you imagine the physical distress God's daughters had to endure with carrying a giant baby in the womb? Okay. What happened to the womb? Okay, think about this. Stay with me. Then carry on to push the giant baby out of the birth canal. These basically are superhumans, okay? They're half fallen angel, demon, and half human. So pushing a giant out of the birth canal, all right? Okay. Nursing a baby with superhuman giant DNA from a natural woman's bosom, okay? With this small example, the level of pain God's daughters underwent concerning being raped by demons and bringing forth their babies. What people don't know is that not only can you have a spiritual spouse, but a spiritual spouse can come unto you and produce spiritual babies. They had the DNA of a demon and a human. The same thing that happened physically in Genesis chapter 6 is the same thing that happens spiritually when a person is taken by a spiritual spouse. A spiritual spouse is not going to show up and be like, hey, will you marry me? Of course, they want to consummate that covenant in your sleep. A natural spouse is something that God has given us. Like, the devil wants to destroy that covenant, okay, by marrying you to a spiritual spouse. Okay, you see how the devil operates? When you think about Genesis chapter 6, you can see that the very thing that happened in the natural is what happens in the spiritual, okay, concerning a spiritual spouse. So here are some ways that spiritual spouses enter your life. Satanic religions. This is very important because some religions and some cultures actually marry themselves to spirits, okay? And I want to let you know that that is so dangerous. The spirit realm, they know everything, okay? So you think that, you're getting insight and you're not. It's just information in the spirit realm. Spirit realm is like a big internet. You can't hide anything because the spirits know who you are. And most of that information being exchanged is through spirits. The moment you come in agreement with a satanic religion or a satanic practice, you don't have a say-so of what spirit come or how many they bring. Or when it comes to spiritual baths, you are opening yourself up and making yourself susceptible, okay? Love spells, fragmented or broken heart. If you're left with a broken heart, you have to really give that over to God. If you don't release that over to God, you make yourself susceptible to a spiritual spouse filling that void in the spiritual realm, and you don't want to do that. Another way a spiritual spouse into your life is ancestral, okay? That means they could be just passed down. Maybe someone before you had a spiritual spouse. Because they are attached to your bloodline, you become a victim to the spiritual spouse. Another way to get a spiritual spouse is through multiple partners. Be careful what you do with people. So one time I was dealing with someone and he knew me, and I went to sleep and I had a dream. In my dream, a woman came to me and we were talking. And it's so weird in the spirit realm. You don't really talk with your lips. It's kind of like a telepathic thing. And she came to get me or something. And I'm following her. I'm not sure what's going on. And she sat down and telepathically, I knew who she belonged to. I didn't know it back then. But as I studied a little bit more and understood these matters, back then I knew who she belonged to. But now I know what she was in the spirit realm, and she was a spiritual spouse. This spirit was telling me, hey, that person is mine, okay? And listen, be careful who you guys connect with, all right? And, believers, that covering, that grace, and that mercy, thank you, God, for it. However, don't play with fire and just being out here. Okay, because you can lay down with something and you leave with a sexually transmitted demon. Okay, here are signs that you may have a spiritual spouse. Number one, sex dreams. A lot of spiritual spouses, when they basically rape their victims, and that is the number one indicator that you have a spiritual spouse. And sometimes it could just be casual. You can be enjoying those experiences. I mean, that is the evidence of a spiritual spouse. You feel someone caressing and touching you in the presence of your bedroom, having perverted sexual dreams and thoughts. Okay, they're coming from somewhere. All right, you have unnecessary distrust and suspicion. That is a seed planted by a spirit. There's something going on in the spiritual realm that is causing friction between you and your love interest. Okay, intrusive thoughts toward the women you are courting. That's kind of the same as suspicion and distrust. You just have thoughts that are uncontrollable and dark towards the person you're dealing with. I'm gonna just leave that there. Okay. Inability to connect on a deep emotional level. This means that no matter who you deal with, you cannot open your heart up into them. Okay, and I'm not talking about being vulnerable. I'm just talking about there is no desire. You have no ability to. Something has already consumed your heart and drawn a wedge between you and a potential love interest. You have unquestionable sexual appetite, all right, or the opposite, all right. You just can't get enough, all right. Understand that when it's uncontrollable, something is not right. On the other hand, you just have no desire to, okay, at all. Something's there. Something's took hold of that which is drawn a wedge between you and a potential love interest. You're not getting stimulated at all. No matter what the case is, what the scenario is. It could be something health-wise, as a man or a woman, but also it could be something spiritual wise. Okay. Uncontrollable urge to please yourself. Okay. You cannot stop dealing with pleasing yourself. Okay. And what I learned is that when it comes to pleasing yourself, you think you just getting off. No, you are actually entertaining spirits. Listen, and I'm going to keep it real clean. But if you have an uncontrollable urge to do that, and I'm not, trying to keep it real clean, but do know that when you engage in that type of activity and you give in to that voice, that temptation, you are putting on a show for the spirits that made you give into it. And I'm going to leave that there. Pleasing yourself in a dream. All right. That goes without saying. Hatred towards women and men. A spirit is within you, causing a wedge between you and a potential love interest. God gave Eve to Adam. Okay. That is a holy covenant. It's not natural and it's not biblical to just hate the opposite gender. Dreaming about kissing someone you don't know. You are having dreams that you're kissing people and you don't know who they are. A spiritual spouse is trying to reinforce a covenant, and that is evidence of you being married to someone in the spirit realm. Dreams about strange men and women. You keep seeing somebody in your dream. You don't know who this person is. I see this man. I see this woman all the time. Someone is there. Okay. Dreams of marrying a stranger. Okay. That goes without saying. Dreams of breastfeeding. You see children in your dreams, and I'm not talking about, hey, my kid, or I work at a daycare, or I'm talking about like you are constantly having dreams of breastfeeding a baby that you plan out. You not even in that realm, or you a guy and you're breastfeeding, okay, or you keep seeing children. All right, something is not right. All right, so let me talk about my experience with a spiritual spouse. Okay, so I talked about me coming out of Yoruba spirituality and a lot of things that I dealt with during that time. A lot of things I didn't say. However, when it comes to the spiritual spouse, I was definitely a victim. I was definitely getting molested in my dreams. I would definitely wake up with scars. I would definitely feel something touching me. All of the symptoms of a spiritual spouse was happening to me at that time. Now, When I was dealing with it, I didn't know it was a spiritual spouse. However, when I came to Christ and I went on that 21-day fast, so much broke off of me. I'm going to let you know that when you are delivered of something, it will always try to come back. And it is so important to stand 10 toes down on your faith. When something tries to reattach itself to you, cancel the dream, divorce, renounce it, come out of agreement with it. One thing about God, he allows you to do your thing. He gives you free will. But the devil and his minions, they will manipulate, they will dominate, they will make you think that it's something good you come in agreement with, and you're actually not, okay? I never thought sex dreams was a bad dream until I began to really study what this stuff I am dealing with in the spiritual realm, like what is going on, okay? And there were times where the spirit would try to come back and reattach itself to me. And I want you guys to know, when you go on your fast, stand firm, okay? And when they come back, most of the time they lying, all right? They manipulating. They don't have power. It's not until you come in agreement with it in the spiritual realm, and then boom, they got you again. Okay, and when they come back, they bring in 7 more. All right. When I got prayed for, and the guy was praying, pulling the cobwebs off of me, I was having dreams after that of casting out devils. Before that, I got prayed for, I would have dreams of casting out devils, but I was real scary, like in my dreams. And sometimes they will overtake me and sometimes not. But after I got prayed for, just recently, I was in my dream, up in the devil's face. And then one time I had this dream. I'm in the spirit realm. Something caught me in the spirit realm. And I knew I was in the spirit realm because I was moving like lightning fast, and everything around me, it was kind of just like I darted. And I end up in a closet, and I'm in a closet, and it's like a little room. And in the room, they're like stuff on the walls, like a spell or something, and they're lighting up, and it's candles and stuff, like a little nook. And I turns around and I see a spirit. And the spirit says, I married myself to you. I'm wrestling in the spirit realm with this spirit. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. I'm wrestling. And dreams after that just, gave me confirmations of certain things, but I won't say too much about it now. But it's very important to take inventory of your spiritual health. When God gives you a revelation of something in a dream, he is giving you insight, spiritual insight. That's what dreams are, spiritual insight, okay? And for people who are prophetic and apostolic, we experience a lot of spiritual attacks because that is our avenue. If you are prophetic, you are an apostolic person, and you have that calling on your life, it is your duty to study spiritual matters. You don't even know how powerful you are, okay? And don't get comfortable with resistance and performance and acting, okay? And checking the list off. You may not act like a Christian. God not looking for actors, okay? Let's talk about how to destroy a spiritual spouse, okay? Matthew 17:21 says, this kind comes out by fasting and prayer. All right, so some people say start with a 7-day fast. You can start with the 7-day. You can start with the 3-day. I'm going to plug some prayers of a very powerful evangelist. He has prayer points against spiritual spouses, against spiritual children. He supplies people with all types of biblical spiritual arsenals against, the satanic realm. And I want you to worship and pray daily. Okay, the victory is already won. I want you to worship from a place of victory. When I fasted, I got up at 6 a.m. Okay, and like my life depended on it. Okay, so that is how you eradicate a spiritual spouse, and make sure your life is clean. Don't get into sexual TV, sexual content. You got to really clean up your life when it comes to, fighting against spiritual spouses. You can't fornicate. You can't be watching, different type of things. You can't be listening to certain things. Keep your life very pure and consecrated while you're on your fast, okay? And I'm telling you, you will see a breakthrough. If I had not took this road and I had not known the things that I, experienced the things that I experienced, I wouldn't even understood what was going on in my life. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to share it with someone, like, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.